Shadows of the Big City. Chapter 1, A Meeting with Fate. New York City, a place that never sleeps. Its skyscrapers reach towards the sky, and its streets are filled with life day and night. Among the millions of people striving towards their goals and dreams, there are those who seek something more, who peer into the shadows, hoping to find answers to questions that ordinary life cannot provide. In a small cafe in Greenwich Village, hidden away from prying eyes, worked Lily. She was an artist who had recently moved to New York, hoping to find inspiration in this city of contrasts. Her long black hair was braided, and her light brown eyes, which concealed a tender soul, were often full of dreams. Lily lived in a small apartment in Manhattan, and every day her path took her through Central Park, where she found temporary refuge from the noise and hustle. One evening, as Lily was returning home after her shift, an old building caught her attention, a half-forgotten mansion on one of the side streets. It was an old house with stone statues and stained glass windows that reminded her of abandoned castles from childhood fairy tales. There was something mystical about the house, as if it held secrets waiting to be uncovered. Lily stopped to admire the architecture and suddenly noticed a dark figure in one of the windows. The figure stood still, watching her, and Lily felt her heart race. For a moment, she sensed an invisible connection between them, as if their fates were intertwined. But then the light in the window went out, and the figure vanished, leaving Lily deep in thought. Something drew her to this house, but she couldn't quite understand what it was. The next day, unable to shake the thought of the mysterious figure, Lily decided to pass by the mansion again. This time, she noticed that the door was slightly ajar, as if inviting her in. She hesitated, but curiosity got the better of her. She gently pushed the door open and stepped inside. The interior of the house was even more enigmatic. High ceilings, antique chandeliers, and faded yet once luxurious interiors created an atmosphere steeped in history. Lily slowly walked down the corridor, hearing her footsteps echo in the silence. She was drawn to a soft whisper, coming from a distant room. When she entered the room, she saw a young man standing by a large window. He looked unusual, as if he didn't quite belong to this time. His hair was almost white, and his eyes were bright blue, like icy shards. He looked directly at Lily as if he had been waiting for her to appear. "I knew you would come," he said softly, his voice deep and melodic. "Who are you?" Lily asked, feeling her heart race once again. "My name is Michael," he replied, his gaze never leaving her face. "This house, it holds many secrets. And one of them is our meeting." Lily felt something cold and intangible pass through her, as if the air around her had become heavier. She couldn't explain why, but she felt that Michael was connected to something otherworldly, something beyond ordinary life. Yet instead of fear, she felt a strange attraction to this man. Chapter 2, The Otherworld. Days passed, and Lily found herself returning to the old house more and more often. She couldn't stop thinking about Michael, about his mysterious aura, and the way he spoke of things that seemed incomprehensible to her. Each time she visited, Michael told her stories about life, death, and a world hidden from the eyes of ordinary mortals. "This house," Michael said one day, "is a portal between worlds. A family once lived here, studying the occult and ancient knowledge. They opened doors to realms that people were not meant to see. And now this house is like a trap for souls that cannot find peace." Lily was struck by his words, but she wasn't afraid. Her interest grew with each of his tales, and she began to see Michael as more than just a mysterious stranger. His words started influencing her art, and she noticed that her paintings became darker and more profound, as if she herself had become part of the story Michael was telling her. One evening, after returning home from a meeting with Michael, Lily noticed strange changes in her apartment. The mirrors in the bathroom and hallway were covered in a thin layer of frost, despite the warm weather outside. She felt a cold breeze passing through the room, even though the windows were closed. "Something's wrong," she whispered, looking around. Lily noticed the shadows in the corners of the room starting to shift as if living beings were hiding within them. At that moment, it became clear to her that her connection with Michael and the old house was affecting her own reality. She tried to reach out to him, but his phone was disconnected. The next day, Lily went back to the mansion, but this time it looked abandoned and empty. Inside, it was quiet, and Michael was nowhere to be found. Lily felt a sense of despair, as if she had lost something important. She began searching for him, but the house turned into a labyrinth of empty rooms and endless corridors. When she finally found him, Michael was standing in the same room by the window, but now his gaze was fixed on nothingness. Lily felt a cold shiver run through her, and she knew that something had changed. "Michael, what's happening?" she asked, hoping for an answer. "Lily," his voice was quiet and sad, "I need to tell you something. I don't belong to this world. I haven't been alive for a long time. I'm a soul trapped between worlds, and you're the only one who can help me." Lily stared at him in shock, unable to believe her ears. Everything she knew about Michael was part of a different reality, a reality where his life had ended, but his spirit remained trapped in the old house. "Why did you choose me?" she asked, tears starting to stream down her cheeks. "You're an artist," Michael replied, his eyes shining in the setting sun. "Your soul is pure and full of light. You can create a bridge between worlds, paint a path for me to follow." Lily understood that her art could help Michael find peace, but that would mean losing him forever. She stood before a difficult choice: help him move on or keep him in her life, but doomed to exist between worlds. Chapter 3: A Sacrifice for Love. Days passed, and Lily began painting the picture that was to become the bridge between worlds. She spent hours in her studio, creating intricate and detailed images that seemed to transcend her usual style. Every line, every brushstroke was filled with her love for Michael and her desire to help him. The painting began to come to life, becoming more and more real. Lily felt her energy draining into the creation, and with each passing day, she grew weaker. But she couldn't stop, knowing that this was her only chance to save Michael. When the painting was finished, Lily felt as if she had lost a part of herself. She knew this was more than just art, it was a real portal that would free Michael. She called him to the house to show him the result. When Michael saw the painting, he couldn't contain his gratitude. His eyes filled with light, and he realized that Lily had done the impossible for him. The painting glowed like a living being, and within it lay the path that would lead Michael to peace. "Lily," he said, stepping closer and touching her hand, "you've given me a chance to be free. But now I have to go." Lily stood before him, knowing that this would be their last meeting. She knew she had to let him go, but her heart ached with the pain of loss. Michael leaned in, and their lips met in a final kiss, full of tenderness and longing. "I'll always remember you," he whispered. Michael stepped towards the painting, and as he entered it, he vanished into a bright light, leaving Lily alone in the empty room. She stood in silence, feeling her heart tighten with the loss, but knowing she had made the right choice. Epilogue. Months passed, and Lily still felt Michael's presence in her heart. She continued working on her paintings, but now her art became lighter, as if a hidden light had been revealed within her. One day, while walking through Central Park, Lily stopped by an old tree and felt a gentle breeze whispering her name. She smiled, knowing that Michael had found peace and was thanking her for helping him move on. Lily knew that life goes on, and though she had lost love, she had gained something more: the ability to see worlds hidden from the eyes and to help those in need. New York continued to live its bustling life, but for Lily, it would always remain the place where she found her greatest love and learned what it meant to sacrifice for another.